Hi, welcome, I'm Hannah. Today I want to go through my entire highlighter collection. I've been meaning to do this for a while, but I was really inspired because we are at the back end of the Sephora VIB sale as I'm filming this, and I try not to use the sale as like a specific reason to shop, but I have had it in my mind for over a month now, and there's been products I've wanted to try out, and I've been like, oh, during the sale, I'll try them out. So I was excited to use the opportunity to get my 20% off and try some new things out, but it did feel like after a little while I was looking for things to want. And there was a point that I was like, oh, I would like to try a cream or liquid highlighter because I've been getting a little bit more into cream cheek products, and sometimes I feel like powder cheek products don't sit that well on top of the creams. So fine, I was looking around for that, but then I was starting to think, you know, I could use a new powder highlighter too. And I looked for a while, I added a couple to my cart, and then I was like, wait, no, Hannah, you have enough. So I wanted to use this opportunity to go through my collection and quantify the enough that I have. Starting with my everyday highlighter for a while that's coming to an end. It was actually kind of cute because I had Opal for a while. I had Opal when I was away at school, and my friend Haley used to borrow a swipe of it when we would go out. And then after we graduated, she ended up buying one. She went through it. Years later, I had a small one of it, and she had Moonstone. I guess she decided she wanted to try something new, but I was starting to feel like Opal was too deep for me, that you would see the line of demarcation. I'm really like a fair light skin tone. She's more of a light skin tone. So she felt like Moonstone was too light. I felt like Opal was too deep, and we traded. And Moonstone really is awesome for me. Becca's going out of business, so right now I kind of feel like I don't want to replace it just to have this issue in another couple months or a year. That feeling might change, we'll see, I'm human. But right now I kind of feel like there has to be something else in my collection that will make do. So let me show you how dire this situation is. It's just like crumbs. I have like pebbles of Moonstone. I wanted to leave enough to do a little swatch. I guess I'll take off my watch. So this is Becca Moonstone. It's like a very nice, soft, light champagne, and it's really like the perfect shade for me. I put, I'll swatch it next, the Balm Mary Lou Manizer on this before I remember that I was going to do a highlighter video, so I am just going to plop my Moonstone on this cheek. So in this day and age, this is what I look for in a highlighter. There's been times where I want that like glow to the gods kind of like blinding highlight, and I just feel ridiculous with that now. I feel like if I have that in normal life, I'm self-conscious that it just looks too made up. And you know, I'm not trying to convince anyone that I'm not wearing makeup. I mean, look at me. But I want the cheek products to look pretty and not like I have a strip of aluminum foil on my cheek. So I really like this. This is the Balm Mary Lou Manizer. And this is also really nice. So it might end up being that this is a better comparison, but I do feel like this is sitting on top of my skin a little bit more than this is. I feel like this is kind of just like one with my skin. Who knows, maybe I'll just convince myself to repurchase this while I still can. I don't know. I've heard people say they like never go through highlighters, and I do. I've gone through highlighters many times. I don't know what that's about. So for Mary Lou Manizer, I actually have a full-size one and a small one. This full-size one I used years ago. I hit pan on it and then I stopped using it for some reason. And just recently I kind of like pulled it out again. And then there's just the mini one has no dent on it. I'm not sure what I'm really doing with this yet, but I have it. They also had one that I had this size of. It was some like Japanese travel theme. It started with a K, and that highlighter was amazing. I don't think they sell that. I'm gonna look it up. Yeah, whatever that K name was, it's not on the website anymore. I guess a tell us how long you've been consuming beauty YouTube without telling us how long you've been consuming beauty YouTube would be, I remember when the bomb was like the shit. So I'd say if anything, Mary Lou Manizer is just a little bit more golden, but they are very similar in like saturation and just like a little bit reflecty. That's what I want here. This is the one that really had a moment on YouTube, and I used it for a while and then I put it away for a while. I think I just kind of like ran out of room and it wasn't my favorite, or maybe it was my favorite and that was why. I do weird things sometimes. But this is Jouer Citrine. This one I also have pan in, and I also have a dent. I might do a video at some point about like all the products that I have pan on. That might be kind of fun. This one was pretty glowy, if I remember. It was one of my more like glowing to the gods, see me from space kind of highlighters. Yeah, I can tell from the swatch that it is more reflective. I think it looks like a really good, like the hotter twin of Mary Lou Manizer, but not bad options. Colourpop Flexitarian, this is like the one cream that I have. Kind of, we'll get there. This one I like. This is a really good like vacation highlighter for me. When I'm wearing no makeup, I think it's nice to like pop on just to give myself like a little bit of a glow. This one is a little bit more silvery. I'm kind of surprised by that. I do sometimes feel like when I have a full face of makeup on, that Flexitarian doesn't blend into it very well, but I also know that of all of the Colourpop Super Shock cheeks, this is kind of like the best one. Like I don't think if I bought a different shade of the Colourpop cheeks that I would get like this exact formula but a better shade, you know what I mean? I think this one was kind of like special, that it was like a little bit more blingy. And like I just said I don't want that blingy, but I also don't want it to be like not blingy at all. You know, I want it to be something. Like there was a time that the Becca highlighters were like the blingiest that there was, so everyone was buying them. And then I started feeling like they weren't blingy enough. But now I've gone back to that kind of like baseline blingy, and that's what I want. So when we talk about things that are a little bit too blingy, Ofra. This one is Pillow Talk. I have some Mega Pan in there. I really do enjoy this as an inner corner shade when I want something pink, because I don't mind having a really blingy shadow there. And I do wear it on my cheeks sometimes, but this is one that makes me feel self-conscious because it's very reflective. It's also very pink. I think you could tell from here that it does look more like it has like a white base than the others. And maybe that's why. It's very icy. So not only is it a formula that really shines, but it's just like the makeup of the shade stands out from my cheek more. When I had ordered that, I think I ordered that and Rodeo Drive both in magnetic pans, but they accidentally sent that one not in a magnetic pan, and I've used it a lot more because of that. I kind of didn't realize yet at that time that when I have things in magnetic pans, when I have cheek products in magnetic pans, I forget about them. So I have Rodeo Drive. This one is very gold. This one I think might be a little bit too deep for me for my current standards. I'm very like self-conscious now about if you can see it when my face is just forward. If you see that like that little line right there, I don't want it. Yeah, so this one's definitely way more kind of like bronzy. It's definitely the most brown out of all of them. It's a little bit after Citrine, but Citrine's definitely lighter than this one is. So I do use it here and there, but it's not my favorite because of that. And then the other magnetic pan I have is Starburst. This was from the Anastasia Glow Kit that I got years ago, and this is my only surviving one. I used all of them for a little bit, but then I felt like 2 of them were too deep for me, and then one of them I decluttered relatively recently because it was too white for me. It's funny with having a big range of highlighters also. Maybe that's the reason that I do tend to go through them, because I feel like they're kind of like foundations. You need it to be your exact shade to work. I feel like I could have a perfect champagne, a perfect more gold leaning, and a perfect more pink leaning, and then that's my highlighter collection, I'm done. You know, like you're not gonna get that many different things if you have a collection of 100 highlighters, but you do for eyeshadows, but like you don't for foundations. You know what I mean? Maybe 3 is like a little extreme. Maybe you could have like those 3 shades in like a more subtle formula and then those 3 shades in a more blingy formula. But still, either way, my point is I feel like you don't need a huge collection of highlighters because they're a lot of the same. And the only reason I do is because I kind of like forget about them and buy new ones. So this is Starburst from Anastasia. It's definitely a deeper pink than Pillow Talk. I like it, but I don't use it that much. It doesn't really excite me. Next up is this Milk Makeup Highlighter that I tried out in a video, I think in February. This is the Flex Highlighter in the shade Iced, and I do like this, But recently, sometimes I worry that it's a little bit too deep for me, but I haven't been worried enough yet to like get rid of it. And I like it. I like the formula of it. It looks very gold on my finger. I think it looks very sheer. It's funny that I swatched that over that birthmark and it looks like there's nothing on top of the birthmark. I think I can see when I turn it that there is like a line of demarcation that kind of reminds me what I'm concerned about for it, but it does have like a very nice glow and a very sheer base. I hope that these are in focus enough. What if I turn down the lights? Is that better? When I turn down the lights, you could definitely see what I mean about pillow talk, about how much it like stands out of my skin, and you would also tell how deep Rodeo Drive is. Maybe I'll keep kind of going back and forth. So I have a bunch that are in palettes. I have the Becca Jaclyn Hill palette. This is so old. I remember I didn't buy it at the time that it was launched, and then it was kind of like, I bought Pearl. I bought Pearl because I wanted a very light highlight. This must be like 2016 I'm thinking of. Maybe 2017? Let me see when she came out with the collab. So I'm seeing that I totally forgot that this is like the first one. They had that palette afterwards where it was kind of like off-center and I hated it. That came out in May of 2016. So this one came out before it. So this must have been like 2015. I'm not sure. I'm having trouble finding exact dates, but this probably came out about 2015. So maybe it was late 2015. That sounds right. I ordered Pearl, and then right after I ordered Pearl, maybe there was a post on Trend Mood that was like, hey, quick, they have this back in stock. So I ended up buying this because it has Pearl in it and returning the single of Pearl, which I think is good because Pearl is so light that I didn't need a whole pan of it. So yeah, that's Pearl, that's Champagne Pop, and then there's also Blush Copper, which is too deep for me. I'm kind of anti-face palettes also because while I can kind of use these and I do mix them together most of the time, I have a third shade in here that's totally a waste. And I know maybe some people actually use it as eyeshadows when they're like, I can use it as eyeshadows. But I have a huge, beautiful eyeshadow collection, and this is not what I'm going to use as an eyeshadow. So here's Pearl and Champagne Pop. Pearl, Champagne Pop. So yeah, you can see Pearl is so white, and Champagne Pop is probably the second most deep right before Rodeo Drive. Let me see if I can adequately mix them together on my finger. I'm just kind of dipping into both of them. That's usually what I do. Yeah, that actually kind of worked. So that's usually how I wear this when I wear it. And that doesn't look, we're getting kind of far away now, but that doesn't look too far off from Moonstone. That's funny. So I do intend to keep using this. I do forget about it just because since it's a little palette, it's like slightly farther back than my single cheek products are. But I do have a pretty good pan in Champagne Pop, and hopefully I'll be able to use these shades up by the end of the year. That'd be cool. Next I have the Charlotte Tilbury Filmstar Bronze and Glow. I wanted this for years. It was like $79 I think, and then I ended up buying this mini one, which is perfect, and I haven't touched it. I forget about it. I got it a couple months ago. I think I got it right around the time that I had gotten other products too, but I imagine this being kind of like a really nice little highlighter for me. I guess we'll test it out right now. It's really pretty. I feel like I haven't even looked at this. I like it. It's like, didn't even pick up that intensely on my finger. Really soft. I don't know, I might have to try this one out a little bit more and get back to you. Maybe it's also just my impression of Charlotte Tilbury, what I think will happen, what I've heard will happen, but what I think will happen is it's going to be like a really nice, subtle, easy glow. We'll find out. Maybe I'll hate it. I don't know. The one in the same family that I think of it as is I have this Hourglass Ambient Lighting Edit Mini palette. This is the little 4 products. I got this around holiday 2020. When I want my cheeks to look really nice and soft and kind of like natural but better, like my face but better, this is what I use. I had Easter dinner with my boyfriend's family, and this is what I used. So the highlight in it, it's Metallic Strobe Powder Champagne Strobe Light, and I think this is kind of like a really nice glow from within kind of highlighter. It's hard to even see. So it does look a little bit more blingy than that Charlotte Tilbury one. I'm gonna be really curious to compare those. Huh, I'm running low on arm space. I might try to start swatching on the other side of my arm. When I said I kind of had another cream, what I was referring to is from this e.l.f. Active Workout Ready Lip and Cheek Palette. But I think that the highlighter in here might be way more of a balm than actually a highlight. I've only ever used it while using this palette, and I guess you could say I've only ever used this shade of it, but I do like it. This was a recommendation from Hannah Louise Poston, and I think it is a really nice cream cheek palette. So let's see if there's pigment in there. Yeah, it's really like a balmy formula. Yeah, I think there's a little bit of like a champagne in there. Nice. All right, cool. I'll have to remember that when I use cream cheek products. I did just order the Kosas Cream Cheek Duo in Velvet Melon, I believe. It's kind of like a melony shade cream blush with a highlighter that's supposed to correspond to it. So we'll see how that goes. I wanted like a standalone cream cheek product, but there was nothing else that I was interested in, so we'll see. We'll be talking about those soon anyway. So I have all of these e.l.f. bite-size cheek duos that I'm obsessed with. I think these are like some of the best cheek products you can get, and they're $3. The way that a lot of people feel about the eyeshadows, I am not that crazy about the $3 bite-size eyeshadow palettes, but I think I feel that way that they feel about these. I'm obsessed. You can see I have really good pan in Spice Apple, and I have a little bit of pan in Lychee. I also have White Peach and Cantaloupe. So for these, I don't usually use the cheek products, but I do sometimes, and especially with the Cantaloupe one, I think it's a really nice highlight color. So we're gonna test that out right now. Yeah, it looks like a really pretty champagne. I've used these kind of like in a pinch, but I'm like, maybe I should stop using them in a pinch and use them in like a handful. That's really pretty. That's really pretty. That's really a perfect shade for me. Next one is White Peach. That one's a little bit more golden, but it's still pretty nice. I think the other two are going to be too deep for me, but we'll see. So next is Spice Apple, and then I'll also swatch Lychee. But yeah, I don't know about these. Spice Apple, Lychee. Yeah, those are both definitely too deep. But I mean, for $3, I don't mind paying $3 to have the blush side of the powder. And that's kind of like what I was thinking of before of these as anyway. So the fact that I have two that are really nice as highlighters is kind of just like a nice bonus. Okay, we're definitely coming around towards the end of the mountain. I have this Becca and Barbie Ferreria palette from Holiday. I almost didn't buy this. I wanted this when it was full price back in like September. I talked myself out of it, and then Lauren May Beauty had it, and she was so enthusiastic about it, and then Becca had it for half off and free shipping, so I got it for just $20, so I was like, okay. And this is one of those things that I was like definitely talking myself into, and I was looking at these funky shades and being like, I'll use them on my eyes, but like, no. No, I'm not using them on my eyes. And I'm not even sure if this palette is like the same quality as their single highlighters. I don't know. I'm gonna swatch this middle one and this champagne one for you because the other three are way too deep for me to use on my cheeks. This middle one's kind of like bluish. It is kind of like a cool shade. And then this is the more champagne one. It looks kind of hard panned already, and I know I've barely used this. Also, the packaging is just so bulky. It sticks out. Maybe you can't tell, but like it's not flat on top, so it doesn't even like stack nicely. So this is that blue one that's called Refract. There's a nice glow to it, but you know, there's definitely a time and place for blue. It's never going to be my #1 highlight shade. And I do have other blues that I think of more if I do want a blue highlight. For example, I have Terramoon Space Baby on my inner corner right now. The champagne shade is called Prismify or Prismify? I feel like that's a word that's not meant to be said out loud. I feel like that's a word that they like came up with on like email correspondence. Prismify? Prismify. That one's too deep. Yeah, that one's like, I think that one's deeper than Rodeo Drive, yeah. Yeah, that's Rodeo Drive right there, and Prismify right there. It's almost fine when the light hits it, but the problem is when I'm facing forward, it's going to look like that. And that does not work for me. I don't know if this palette's gonna last that long in my collection. I was not expecting to come to this conclusion today. But like I just told you, 2 of the shades are possible for me. One of them's not my favorite blue, and then the other one is, I'm realizing now, not usable for me. I don't know. I like this as an object. It's funny which things kind of just like excite me being them. But like, and maybe it's me holding on to the excitement of what I thought could have been, but I don't know. I'm not ready to get rid of it, but this is not going to be a permanent fixture in my collection. Interesting. That was a success out of doing all these swatches. Now I know. So the other blue highlight that I use if I think of wanting a blue is from the KVD Alchemist Holographic palette. This is a throwback. This I got years ago, before any KVD related scandals happened. It must have been 2015 that I got this. I feel like it was right when I finished undergrad. And these shades are really cool. I like them more as inner corner highlights, but occasionally I'll think of wanting a colorful highlight and I'll pull this out and I like it. So we have blue sapphire, green emerald, ultraviolet amethyst, and pink opal. And they're just like really pretty iridescent shadows. There are definitely highlights now like this a little bit more commonly. You can find iridescent shades like this for indie eyeshadows, which obviously you can use on your cheek because it's powders, you can do whatever you want. But I think these were like a little bit ahead of their time. I think other brands that, I can't remember if this came before or after that Anastasia Moonchild palette, but I think these were a little bit like more, I don't want to say more subtle, but more like, more iridescent and shifty than those were. From my impression, I never had that palette, but still. I love that these look white in the pan and then you swatch them and then they instantly kind of like come alive with color. They do look a little chalky in the swatches, but they're pretty cool. Pretty cool little highlights there. I'm always happy to have this palette when I think to pull it out. I'm happy that I kept it all these years. Yeah. I do have 3 other highlighters that I just put into my declutter bag, and I would swatch them right now, but I only have 58 seconds left on my memory card, so I think I'm just going to leave this as a cliffhanger to check out my next declutter. I'll swatch those in them. It's 2 loose highlighters and an ochre highlighter that I realize are all too deep for me and you can see when I'm facing forward, so stay tuned for that. And that's everything for today. Those were all of my highlighters. Thank you for coming along with me for this journey. It's been very interesting. I think I did adequately prove to myself that I am insane for thinking that I need more highlighters because I know that I don't. I have a lot. I don't need a lot. I don't really want an assortment. I kind of just need 1 or 2 or 3 good highlighters to rotate through that get me through my looks, and that's about it. If you like this video, if you like kind of like collection type videos or using what I have, discovering what I have, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. And that's everything for today. Thanks for watching. Bye.